Greetings, family, and welcome to Motherland Media, the Uplifting Us Economic Development Cooperative call and presentation, and actually orientation. We're on with myself, Brother DJ, and Baba Hekima. Greetings, Baba Hekima. How you doing?
Doing great, brother.
Good, good. Yes, all seems to be working fine. All systems are go. So definitely excited about this call tonight, all of the great information that we have in store for the family. And Baba Hekima, please take the time to give us the premise of the call and what this particular conversation from 9 to 10 is designed to do for us.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for the opportunity. There are brothers and sisters from around the world who are invited to this call on Thursday evenings. And, of course, the invitation goes out from Usliftingus Economic Development Cooperative, LLC. We are a U.S.-based, Atlanta-based cooperative formation. And we're how would I say this? We are pleased to have developed, perfected a method by which we can gain control of the economics of our communities throughout the country and with international implications. And so the Thursday night calls are geared to answer questions that prospective members would have. And our hope, of course, is that persons would first visit our website, go through our online presentation, and come to this call on Thursday evening with questions. We know for sure that some persons come to the call and they may not have gone through the presentation online, but it's more productive, of course, if a person has gone through the presentation online. And so what we're simply doing, and I shouldn't say simply, but it's really profound in some ways, and late in the day, we should have done this many, many years ago, in terms of working out the logistics of how we would pool our resources and channel those resources towards the in some cases, you would say a limited objective of taking control of the economic life of our communities. And so the premise of the call is that we want brothers and sisters to question us, to challenge ourselves. And what we mean by that is that we feel, those of us, in particularly on the board of ULU, and myself and Brother DJ are two of the founding board members, we feel that the ULU plan is not only appropriate but absolutely necessary if we're, in fact, going to talk about economic empowerment for our community. So, again, the premise of the call is to examine the plan, and we're going to go through a little bit of the plan on the call, and then we want to open up the lines for questions and feedback relative to the plan. But as an overview, the plan has a very specific objective, and that objective is to provide for our community a way, a platform, a mechanism by which, when properly used, incrementally we gain greater and greater control of the economics of our own community, and at a point arrive at a level of growth and penetration where it becomes obvious that we are the dominant force economically in our own communities. And so that's the premise overall, Brother DJ.
Okay. I certainly appreciate that. How did ULU come about? When was it founded, and how did it come about?
Well, about roughly 20 people answered the call to form a study group, a think tank, in 2011 here in Atlanta. And of those, of the 20, not all of them stuck, but a sufficient number of them stayed in the saddle long enough and committed ourselves to the work, some hard work. By 2012, I guess it was the spring or the middle of the year of 2012, we had enough information that we actually created the legal entity, Usliftingus Economic Development Cooperative. We continued to do research, and then we reformatted Usliftingus based on the LLC format in June of 2012. And it was at that point that we really began to share the idea more vigorously in the community and around the country. And so we got started again. Our nexus was in 2011, and now we have members in almost every state in the United States, and members in Canada, the UK, Bermuda, and Haiti. But we are formatted so that we can have members from around the world. We chose intentionally a legal structure that would give us the capacity to build businesses and have members of the co-op in every place in the world. And so from 2011 to to today, we have hundreds of members scattered throughout the United States and a few other countries. But we're Garveyites in no uncertain terms, and we look forward to a time when we could duplicate what our brothers and sisters did in the 1920s and 30s, and we look for millions of brothers and sisters around the world to join with us in this effort. So 2011, and now several hundred members in the U.S. and 4 other countries.
All right, sounds good. Definitely growing and progressing. You know, there's a lot of conversation nationally about black economic empowerment. No shortage of cultural critics and economic thinkers and even economists who talk a great deal about what needs to be done to really harness that more than $1 trillion that comes to our hand every year collectively in this country. So my question is, what makes Usliftingus different from a lot of the not only conversation that are taking place nationally and perhaps even internationally when you talk about people of African descent worldwide, but what makes ULU different or unique in its approach to black economic empowerment?
That's a very appropriate and powerful question. The fundamental difference is what we have deliberately done is to create a format that is group-owned, large-scale group-owned. When Martin Luther King talks about us pooling our money, and other persons, of course, have talked about us pooling our money, the logistics of that we've sought to answer in the structure that we've created. Most of the empowerment efforts that I know about around the country speak to empowering individuals or small groups in their businesses. And each business pretty much does its own thing. And certainly we want to encourage that and strengthen that, but very rarely are those businesses connected. And what I mean by that is that we know that ethnic groups that have built secondary economies in this country and around the world, that their businesses are connected. and we don't necessarily know how they're connected, but their culture is strong enough and intact so that there are mechanisms and practices within their culture that demand compliance to certain cultural norms. And so what ULU has done is, by creating a group platform where each of us becomes a member of a business formation, and we pool our monies and we invest in businesses together, then the connectivity is in place from day one. In other words, we're not each then doing our own things. We're each involved in a cooperative enterprise. And so the unique point of view and the unique strategy of ULU is large-scale, group-owned entities or enterprises that would own hundreds of businesses and eventually thousands of businesses, and all of those businesses would be organized as co-ops but owned by all of us. What that gives us the ability to do is to aggregate or pool millions of dollars, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, possibly billions of dollars, and from a controlled, planned, strategic move to intervene in the economic life of local communities with a unified strategy. And our strategy, of course, would include businesses that do not come under the ULU umbrella through partnerships and support and other measures that maybe we haven't even uncovered at this point. But the question you asked about the unique proposition that ULU brings to the table, our platform allows for membership by individuals and by institutions. So as far as I know, ULU is the only formation that would allow us to pool our monies, invest in enterprises, co-op enterprises in our communities, and profit from them together. In other words, not only do we pool the money, we own the businesses, and then when those businesses yield a return, then it comes back to us, all of us, as a group, collectively. And so that's kind of unique. I don't think this approach has ever been tried in our community. And when you really think about it, from our perspective, it's the most logical thing that we could do, since we have a mutual problem, and we acknowledge that. We have a mutual need. We acknowledge that. Well, why wouldn't we have a mutual approach? What happens is that our approach is disjointed. Again, if we have a mutual problem, we have a mutual need, and then we champion approaches that separate us, everybody doing their own thing. Again, we're already there. We have our individual businesses, our individual institutions, but in addition to that, we feel that it's absolutely necessary to have a mutual, collectively owned, large-scale operation along with the other things that we do. So that speaks to what's different about ULU and what makes me very excited and very motivated and very hopeful of the future. And the other thing, Brother DJ, before I end there, we generally, I guess there's general agreement that we should and we must spawn an economy. It's just not enough that we do business with each other. We want to generate or spawn and bring into existence and hold into existence an economy that's clearly identified as our economy. spanning many industries, product lines, just an economy. And one thing we know about an economy, if there is not a central planning mechanism or a central dynamic in terms of culture that governs it, that regulates it, then it's not going to form, and if it does form, it's going to collapse. And so the ULU plan gives us the opportunity to actually have a steering mechanism, a steering wheel, a rudder to our development. Otherwise, our development is random. We don't know where it's going. And so ULU gives us that opportunity as well.
Definitely. And you know, I was just going to say you were actually going into my very next question, in that we live in a capitalist society, and the nature of capitalism is very competitive. And so my question is ULU, can ULU or the ULU brand of cooperative economics compete with the dominant economic system in this country in terms of meeting our basic needs as a people? Because, of course, we know what the numbers are, and even if we don't know specifically what the numbers are, we know economically most of our people in this country are not doing well. But essentially my question is, can the ULU brand or the ULU style of cooperative economics compete with predatory capitalism to meet the needs of our people in this country primarily?
Yeah, that's a powerful question, and I'm glad you asked it. And we don't normally ask or attempt to answer that question, and we sometimes walk past it and don't give it the attention that it deserves. We can compete very favorably in the global economy as a group with a cooperative model. I'm not sure, I haven't thought of it in this way. Let's say that the Walton family that own Walmarts, let's say that there were, 5 million family members, and they operated Walmart as a family. I mean, they do, but it's there are fewer than 5 million, of course. And there's nothing that stops a cooperative enterprise from competing and providing for its owners. As a matter of fact, it probably can provide for its owners a greater return than is generally practiced and accepted in the free enterprise market, where the structures generally in every scenario are pyramidal, where only a few persons are at the top who take the lion's share of the profits. And so they actually stifle creativity and competition because they strangle, to some extent, the capacity of their workers to be fully engaged. So in short, I would say that we have looked at other models in the world, other co-op models that compete aggressively on the open market and the free enterprise and provide for their member owners a very nice competitive salary. But in addition to that, those members also receive bonuses and profit sharing on top of their salaries. And so it's a very attractive environment for those who would labor or the workers. But to the broader community, these enterprises can involve themselves competitively in the marketplace, and there is no one industry that they would be regulated to. I often say that there are co-ops that own railroads, there are other co-ops that own cemeteries. So there's nothing that you cannot organize and run with a co-op model, and can be very competitive in the marketplace and provide not only quality products, goods, and services for the general public, but also provide services and benefits for its member owners on a par with almost nothing that we can imagine in this society. So yes, we can compete, and I think I don't think that for the majority of us, for tens of thousands and possibly millions of us, there is a more direct way to gain security and stability in our families and in our communities other than this group-owned cooperative model that ULU is championing. So, yes, I think we can compete not only favorably, but I think we can win in the marketplace with cooperative economics.
You know, the other part of my question is the aspect of capitalism. It's a top-down, hierarchical type of leadership. Who runs ULU? Who's the boss? And how are decisions made?
The boss are the members. Any person who joins ULU joins as a full partner in a limited liability company. And as a member, we elect a board of directors, and we craft and approve and ratify the game plan. In other words, the operating agreement, which is the governing document. And we can change that, and it's a living document. It'll, for the foreseeable future, it will grow. And so the members are the boss. Now, you can't expect all of us to get together every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a day or a week to make day-to-day decisions. So the membership entrusts and a leadership group called the Board of Directors to govern the day-to-day operations with its own energy and then to hire staff. But the membership is in control of who that Board of Directors is, and if they're dissatisfied with them, they certainly can replace them. And so they are the boss. Now, in the businesses of ULU, they will and are structured as cooperatives, where the workers are members and the workers are owners as well. And so the workers form a management council. They elect from themselves, if the skill set is there, a leader, a team leader, or a manager. And so all of us are owners as members, but in the workplace, the worker is also the member owner who is also a worker in that business, also is a part of the management of that enterprise. And so the boss is the members, the boss is the member, the boss is, you can't get around that. And that's important. And any time that would get away from the membership, where any other aspect of the enterprise usurp the members' authority, that would be a coup. And so the members in ULU are very attuned to their role as the owners and the leaders in this process.
So maybe another way of looking at it, or possibly saying it, is that the boss of the members, the boss of the members, the boss of the workers.
Okay.
Just something for us to think about.
Okay.
And the reason why I added workers third, because those, in terms of how you just described it, would be the ones responsible for managing the day-to-day activity of the various businesses that are owned by the collective.
Yeah. Now the reason I went a little further than you probably expected, there are two examples, one in Spain and one in England, where a co-op went the people started thinking about dollar bills or pounds or whatever the currency was in their country, and they turned a worker cooperative into a private enterprise. And when you look at co-ops historically, those two stick out. And we don't want to put ourselves in a position where the members ever step out of their role in controlling the culture and the character of the enterprise. And so when you ask about who's boss, up and down the line, members cannot be lazy. They must be courageous and step into and stay in their role as protecting the interests of our people through this enterprise. And so I just say that there have been situations in the world where the members didn't keep their eye on the ball, and there were forces inside the cooperative movement that actually derailed it and took it to another position, which was in opposition to the welfare of the people. Of course, in every case, in both of those cases, the overall success was there. It's just that the members had to take measure to extricate that kind of energy.
Great. Now, I've also read through the one member, one vote type of structure. Can you give us the reasons why usliftingus found it necessary to incorporate that particular strategy, one member, one vote? What is that designed to do or actually designed to prevent?
Well, that's pretty much standard in terms of cooperative culture in the world. And that's kind of the mantra: one member, one vote, one head, one vote. Because in the corporate world, people vote with their money. When you come in with a lot of money and you buy a lot of shares, then you vote with your shares. That's not the model that we champion. We champion a model where what's respected is individual participation and individual power. And so in our formation, every member has one vote and one vote only. And irrespective of how many units or investment units a person or an institution can acquire, they still only have one vote. And that's generally the accepted practice in all co-ops throughout the world, and that's standard. And so a person who comes to ULU with a lot of money understands from day one in the application that their money cannot influence the character or the behavior or policy any more than any other member, because we don't vote with our money. We vote with our votes, individually. One person, one vote. Now, however, the person who secures multiple units can benefit from a return on all of those units, and so there is a benefit to doing that. And of course, there's a benefit for increasing the pool, the amount that's in the pool to invest in black businesses. But one member, one vote. And I'll just say this to you also. Since members can be institutions, we have scenarios where a person is an individual member, but they're also a part of a business or an enterprise that is also an ULU member. That's not a contradiction. However, that same individual cannot vote for the institution and also vote for themselves. So at no time can a person have two votes, even though they may belong to a formation that is an ULU member. Someone else has to represent that organization or institution or business at the time of voting. So that's also also clear in our operating agreement.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are the different classifications of members, and what does that entail? So you can go ahead and take that. You can go into that since you were already mentioning it. Mm-hmm.
Well, very quickly, 3, an individual, a married couple, or an institution that has a legal standing. In other words, it's registered somehow, a legal entity, an institution or business. So 3, an individual, a married couple, or an institution.
Okay, great. And it doesn't matter which category or classification, that person or entity still only has one vote. Am I correct?
That's right. Only one vote. Only one vote.
All right.
And we have organizations that have a good number of individual members, but yes, that institution only has one vote. One member, one vote.
Sounds good. What is ULU's relationship with entrepreneurship? Of course, there's a lot of conversation nationally about black business development, supporting black businesses. Is ULU in conflict with black entrepreneurship in existing black businesses at all? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
No conflict. As a matter of fact, I would say probably close to 50% of ULU members are in business for themselves, and it seems that business persons are attracted to ULU, and we feel that, as a matter of fact, we have a separate webpage, the ULU community. Those businesses form a group and expose their products, goods, and services to other ULU members. So there is no conflict. The thing that we want to point out is that there is room, and our position is not that we feel that there is a necessity for another business model in the community, in addition to our businesses and other institutions. We think that large-scale, cooperatively owned business enterprises are necessary to complete the formula. Most of our businesses are not able to aggregate or pool sufficient resources to approach some of the business needs in our community. And then the other thing is that we will need entrepreneurs and individual businesses to partner with us in some of the projects that we will approach. And one of the first projects, of course, is the ULU Mart, or the Usliftingus Market and Exchange. And that's an environment in which we will invite entrepreneurs to participate. And we envision that enterprise will also serve as a business incubator. And we see ourselves actually incubating new businesses, giving birth to new businesses that can provide or service a need in the community. So we're very entrepreneurial friendly and supportive, but we also are clear that we don't think entrepreneurship and black business ownership alone is sufficient. And the reason that is so is that a part of the entrepreneurial and business mix in our community is not the international bankers and not Wall Street. In other words, we do not have the institutions that are part of our community that could provide the massive funding and other infrastructure that we would need to operate as an intelligent, informed economy. The large-scale cooperative business enterprise that is ULU can begin to address that need. But certainly we need more businesses in different sectors, and we have got to support those businesses. And also, in addition to supporting them, we've got to develop the culture where those businesses know that they have a responsibility to respond in kind as well, that they should support their workers, that they should support other black businesses and other black institutions. So those businesses have a responsibility to be a good citizen in the business environment as well.
Great. So it's not opposed to black businesses or entrepreneurship at all, but it certainly encourages it. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Baba Hekima, what ULU sounds like is a part of what's necessary in terms of that financial or social safety net for black businesses. Because when you mentioned that we're unable to aggregate sufficient resources to fund our businesses to the level that they need to be, seems like ULU may one day be in a position to address that need. What you think?
Yeah, one of the co-ops that we look to for inspiration, the Mondragon Cooperative of Spain, one of the first things they had to do was address finance. So they formed a people's bank. And as a people's bank, they were able to give better returns on deposits than the other banks in the environment. And so they became very successful. We have got to think in terms of building banks, insurance companies, and maybe other financial institutions or institutions that would support our businesses. The Mondragon model also has research capacity to support the co-ops and other entities in the environment. So we, from the large-scale cooperative enterprise model, look forward to, again, owning banks, insurance companies, and laboratories where we look at new businesses and what's needed in our economy and can strategically support them. We also need, and we don't talk about it very often, we need to look at the business schools at our black universities and look at other institutions that, from a research and analysis position, can help guide this emerging capacity and excellence as we bring what we refer to as the Black Wall Street's back online. And so, yes, we've got to not only be in a position to fund these new ideas, but to also guide them. It's not just enough to throw money at them. We also need to be in a position to, along with them, to look at trends, to look at markets, to look at past failures, to be able to look at it not with just two eyes, but maybe with thousands of eyes.
Definitely sounds good. And I want to go ahead and give those who have called into the switchboard an opportunity to ask questions or give comments. So for those of you who have called in, if you have a question for either myself or Baba Hekima, go ahead and push the number 1 on your phone. Push the number 1 on your phone if you have a question. And we'll see your phone number highlighted, and we'll open up your line for a question or a comment. And for those of you who may have a question but you're currently listening in via Internet, the call-in number is 646-716-5682. That's 646-716-5682. And if you call into that number, as soon as you go get into the call-in queue, go ahead and press number 1 on your phone also, and we'll see your number highlighted, and we'll open up your line for a question or a comment. Before we begin to take callers, Baba Hekima, I want to go ahead and ask you this other question. What are the basic requirements for membership in Uplifting Us Economic Development Cooperative?
Well, the basic requirement, or at least desire, is that you want to participate in a group setting with other brothers and sisters to take control of the economic life of our community and help develop it to the point where we are the dominant force, economic force in our communities. Of course, that's not something we're going to do tomorrow, but we've got to build the infrastructure. Now, on our application for membership, there is a requirement that you certify, that you affirm that you are a person of Black African descent. The other thing is that you submit the application, and there is a $50 fee, membership fee, and you submit that, and we will connect with you. We'll do a little vetting to make sure that you're who you say you are, that you're recommended by another member, or that we feel good that this is a fit for you, and once you're approved, then you join. You'll become a member. You'll join our Turtle list. We have a list of members online, and then as a member, you have the ability and the opportunity, and it's exclusive to members. You can also become a member owner by securing at least one co-op unit. There's no limit to how many units you can receive. A unit is $1,000, and some of our members come into ULU and acquire a unit. Some of them come in and acquire multiple units. Many of them come in and do not acquire any units right away, and then incrementally put money into their capital account. And when that capital account reaches $1,000, then they have a unit, and they're eligible then, and there's some time restraints, but then they're eligible to have a return on the overall success of the cooperative. But the membership application is online, but you can print it out and fill it out, or you can actually fill it out online and hit the submit button. Also, and there's a link that says join, and the application is there, and you can also pay for your membership online, or you can send it through the mail with a personal check, a money order, a bank draft, whatever you choose to do. So the requirement is that you're ready to roll up your sleeves and participate with others in building this platform that has the good potential to have our children and our grandchildren a few years from now not having to look around at each other and ask the question, now what are we going to do? What's the answer? I mean, I'm tired of that. I mean, I know many of us are, and we really have to chastise ourselves for being experts at analyzing the problem, but being rooty-poot about being engineers to get us out of this mess. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully I'm not being too harsh, but I often say that there's very little stopping us from doing what it is required for us to build power. We just got to make the decision that that's what we're going to do, and roll up our sleeves and involve ourselves in the hard work. But it's hard, but it's at the same time it's rewarding and joyous work.
Right. All right, sounds good. You ready to take some questions?
Let's go with it.
All right. 9070. Your line is open. Please state your name and where you're calling from, please. 9070. Your line is open.
Hey, brother, this is Brother Troy in Dallas. Hey, I didn't want anything. I made a mistake and hit the button, so you guys can go ahead.
Okay.
Well, it's still
okay, sounds good.
It's still good hearing your voice, Brother Troy.
Likewise. I'm going to go ahead and mute here. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, brother. All right, we're going to go ahead to our next caller, 4918. 4918. Caller, please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is open. 4918. Your line is open. You have a question? Okay, David.
When are you going to take a day off and go down there and get your job off?
Okay, they have another conversation going on. There was another person that actually called in and dropped by mistake, so hopefully they'll call back in. And when you do, we'll open up your line to give you an opportunity to ask a question or to actually give a comment. Bobby Kima, do you want to, because we've got about 10 minutes to go in this first hour, do you want to kind of give us a heads up for those who are going to stick around for the second hour, what to expect on the second half of the call?
Yes, thank you. At 10 o'clock, thereabouts, we're going to come back and deal with the point 2 of our 10-point appeal and plan. And this is a 10-week series where we're going to go in and deal with our appeal and plan in greater detail. And this is primarily for our members. We know that prospective members, some of you may want to hang around and listen as well, and you're welcome. But the 10-point appeal and plan, which is the first thing that a member sees when they go to our website, we want to really push that out in our community. And when you put your cursor over it and click it, it turns into a PDF, and you can actually print it out. We want to have thousands of these copies of the 10-point appeal and plan circulating in our community, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands eventually. We want to confront each other with this basic outline and basic plan. And so, but again, you can read over it, and you may not understand the nuances in its fullest. So we're going to dedicate from 10 to 11 each night to dealing with just one point in the plan, and just stay on that point so we can discuss it thoroughly, so that a person who goes through all 10 points, and I think Brother Troy is capturing these, and we'll put them back on one of our YouTube channels so that we become confident and versed into the nuances of each point, so that all of us, or many of us, can share these points and the finer points with people in their family and their institutions, or the church, or whatever. So at 10 o'clock or shortly thereafter, we'll come back together again for a more focused discussion tonight on point 2 of the 10-point appeal and plan.
Thank you. And again, for those of you who may have a question and or comment, you can give us a call at 646-716-5682. That's 646-716-5682. And also for those of you who are listening in who have already called in to the switchboard, if you have a question, go ahead and push the number 1 on your phone, and we'll see your number highlighted, and we'll open up your line for a question and or comment. Baba Hikima, before we go, okay, the person called back in, so we'll go ahead and take their call at this time, 7984. Caller, please state your name and where you're calling from. Your line is open.
Roger Jordan from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Thank you, brother. Greetings.
Greetings. My question is, I heard about the share that you're able to buy into the share, and if someone don't have the actual $1,000, how long does one get to come up with $1,000 time limit?
Okay. Brother, if you don't mind, before we take that question, go ahead and mute. It seems like you got a little bit of background noise. Sounds like I'm hearing myself on your speaker. But if you don't mind, go ahead and mute that so that we can not only hear your question clearly, but also get a clear response to you. Baba Hikima, you want to take that?
Yes, and it's good hearing the question from the brother. He's a new member. As a matter of fact, he just joined the Turtle List today out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the Tidewater area. Brother Jernigan, there is no time limit. Whenever you're able to acquire a unit, then you do it. And however you want to build up to that $1,000, if it's weekly, monthly, whenever you can, there is no time limit. However, there is a point at which one of the benefits of early involvement will end. We have a 3-staged campaign, and in stage 2, we have a money goal of reaching a set amount that would allow us to fund our 125,000 to 175,000 feet project called the Marketplace. By short, we call it the Ulu Mart. If you have purchased units, and we call them units, not shares, if you purchase units before that event occurs, then you will be recognized as a founder, and also for every $1,000 that you have committed to this effort, you will receive 2 units for every 1,000. So the benefit will double for you. After we reach that target in stage 2 of funding the first Ulumar, then that benefit or that perk goes away. But that's the only thing that would influence you to secure a unit earlier as opposed to later. And, of course, the earlier you acquire a unit, the earlier you can have a benefit from that. But there is no time limit. There is no time limit. And I guess to really make it clear, if you never acquired an investment unit, you're still a member. And yearly, to be active, you pay $50 per year. The first year is an administrative fee. Your $50 to stay active the second year, and every year thereafter, is also credited to your capital account and lessens by $50 each time you pay it what it takes to acquire a unit. In other words, it discounts or reduces the cost. But there is no time limit. As soon as you're able to, but there is no.
All right, great. The caller actually dropped off. Hopefully he was able to get the fullness of your response listening in over the internet, but his call did drop. So definitely want to thank the brother for the question. And again, hopefully the answer came through loud and clear on your speakers. Bobby Keeman, we're going to go ahead and take a break at this time. And for sisters and brothers who are listening in who are not yet members, we definitely want to thank you for tuning in. Hopefully the information that was shared tonight will inform you enough to go ahead and take that first step and secure a membership within Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative, filling out that application and paying that annual membership fee of $50. And again, we'll love to have you on board, add you to the Turtle List, and put you to work immediately on helping to build this new reality for our people.